Poland says there are no signs an intentional attack on the country has taken place after a missile strike hit a village in the country's eastern region yesterday, killing 2 civilians. The country's leader adds that it's very likely that the deadly missile was from Ukraine's air defence and that it may not have to launch Article 4 under NATO's procedures. Police officers remain at the scene of the explosion. Russia earlier said that the strike was caused by a Ukrainian air defence missile and that its own strikes in Ukraine have not been any closer than 35 kilometres from the Polish border. US President Joe Biden is among leaders treading cautiously, casting doubt that Russia fired the missile. It's a response the Kremlin has praised as both measured and professional. The explosion struck a grain facility in the Polish village of Szudordów, 6 kilometres from the Ukrainian border. Concerns were raised after the blast because under NATO Article 5, which states that an attack on one member is an attack on all. And Poland is a member of the military alliance, a fact which the country insists keeps it safe.
Jesteśmy członkiem najsilniejszego sojuszu wojskowego w historii. Reakcja naszych sojuszników wczoraj, wszystkich w zasadzie członków NATO, jednoznaczne poparcie Polski, jednoznaczna gotowość do stanięcia po naszej stronie, w naszej obronie, gdyby była taka potrzeba. To też pokazuje, że jesteśmy państwem paradoksalnie, pomimo tego, co się dzieje za naszą granicą, bezpiecznym, znacznie bezpieczniejszym niż gdybyśmy w NATO nie byli.
The NATO Secretary-General is holding a press conference after the alliance met to discuss the missile strike on Poland. Let's listen in.
This is a Russian conspiracy theory and it's not true. How do you judge that he made this judgment on the origin? Thank you.
The last question.
Kuleba said it is a Russian conspiracy theory that it is a Ukrainian air defense missile. But your preliminary findings are apparently very different. Thank you.
Well, the investigations are not finally concluded, but based on what we so far know, this is most likely Ukrainian air defense systems or missiles. But again, this is not Ukraine's fault. Russia bears the responsibility for what happened in Poland yesterday, because this is a direct result of the ongoing war and the wave of attacks from Russia against Ukraine yesterday. And of course, Ukraine has the right to shoot down those missiles that are targeting Ukrainian cities and critical Ukrainian infrastructure. NATO is prepared for situations like this. We are exercising, we are preparing for incidents, for accidents like this, to first and foremost to prevent them from happening, but if they happen, to ensure that they don't spiral out of control. So yes, of course, we were concerned when we got the reports yesterday, and especially we were saddened by the fact that there were 2 casualties. But at the same time, we are monitoring, we are following very closely, and therefore we are prepared to handle situations like this in a firm, calm, resolute way, but also in a way that prevent further escalation.
Response, please.
Thank you very much, Secretary General.
And that was the NATO Secretary General talking about how they are monitoring and following the situation in a calm and coordinated manner. And to give us the perspective from Brussels, we're joined now by Rosie Burchard live. Rosie, NATO, I believe, held an emergency meeting earlier to discuss that missile strike in Poland. Do we have any updates on how the bloc is expected to respond?
So Stoltenberg was speaking after that meeting of NATO ambassadors, which took place over the last few hours here in Brussels at the Alliance headquarters. And NATO Chief Jens Stoltenberg says that based on their preliminary investigations and based on the briefing that Poland's ambassador gave to his NATO colleagues, well, he says there are no indications that this was a deliberate attack, and there are no indications either that Russia is preparing any sort of offensive military action against NATO. Now, NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg really doubled down. We heard some of it there. He said that despite the fact that these investigations are pointing to the possibility that these explosions, which claim 2 lives in Poland, are down to Ukrainian air defense and not down to a deliberate Russian attack. Well, he said that it's not Ukraine's fault because the underlying cause here, he said, is Russia's war in Ukraine. And of course, these explosions, which claim 2 lives in Poland, happened as Russia launched missile attacks across various targets in Ukraine. And Stoltenberg said that really is the key cause here. He said the alliance continues to monitor the situation closely and the investigations are ongoing.
Thanks very much, Rosie Burchard there, reporting to us live from Brussels.
For more on this story, Trent Murray joins us live now from Warsaw. Trent, this story has seesawed rapidly over the course of the day. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, that's right, Dawn. And right now at this hour, I think there is a real effort underway by the Polish government to try and bring the temperature down a little bit. That is because overnight, of course, there has been rumours running rife across this country that Russia may have fired a rocket at it. Clearly, media, the population here have seen that message and there has been response, if you will. But President Duda, the country's leader, giving a press conference in the last hour where he laid it out very clear. Let me read you a little bit of what he had to say. He said there is no indication that that missile that landed in Poland was an intentional attack on the country. Number one, he said there are indications it was from an air defense missile system that unfortunately fell on Polish territory. We have no proof at the moment it was fired by the Russian side. It seems it would be an accident by the Ukrainians. Now, what the Polish will also say, though, is that they are very, very aware that those missiles being fired by Ukraine are only in the sky trying to defend their country against Russian attacks. And so this is a tragic accident. I think a couple of areas to watch out for, Dawn, right now. The Polish military has been put on heightened alert because of what happened. Will that now be brought down? Also questions about energy security. We know that Poland has been sending electricity over to Ukraine and that some of that infrastructure, once it crosses the border, has been a target for Russian attacks.
A tragic incident for those lives lost. Trent, thank you for that update. Trent Murray there reporting to us live from Warsaw.